Space Marine 2 is a fantastic entry into the Warhammer 40k universe, and I'm really enjoying playing through all of its content post-story. But the universe of Warhammer is so big. There's so much lore to unpack and unravel that, as a new player, it can be very confusing to understand exactly what's going on and a lot of the terminology that's being used throughout the game. This is bound to happen with a universe that is so vast, and we'll take a bit of research to figure out some of the things that had gone on. However, today I wanted to make a video going into the details of the ending of Space Marine 2 and explaining it in a bit more detail. There are a few things that happened at the end of the campaign and throughout, and one thing in particular with a character that we interact with throughout the story, who reveals his true identity at the end. And if you're not versed with the lore of Space Marine 1 or the Warhammer universe, you're probably going to have zero clue what's going on. So in this video we're going to do exactly that. Go through the lore, what you need to know, explain the ending of Space Marine 2, what's the future of the Space Marine entry within Warhammer, and, of course, more lore around this franchise. If you guys enjoyed this video, do leave a like, it'd be very, very much appreciated. Why not subscribe to the channel as well? There's going to be quite a few Space Marine / Warhammer videos coming out onto the channel in the next couple of days and weeks to try and bring everyone up to speed, leading on to the potential future Warhammer games as well. But without further ado, let's dive straight in. Okay, let's start off by recapping and covering a brief bit of lore from Space Marine 1. We hear this throughout the story and the second game, but it'll be best to recap it now for you guys briefly, for you to understand exactly what happened and why we're at this current situation in the universe. If you don't want to listen to this, there are timestamps below that you can skip to just go straight to the ending explained, but for those who want to recap, this is the place for you. So in Space Marine, which came out in 2011, quite a long time ago, players follow Captain Titus of the Ultramarines as he fights the Orcs and Chaos forces in the Forge world of Graia at the end of the first game after defeating the Chaos Lord Nemroth. Despite his valiant efforts to liberate Graia, Captain Titus was sequestered by Inquisitor Thrax and his retinue of the Black Templars Space Marines on suspicion of heresy after squadmate Leandros reported his captain's display of uncommon resistance to corruptive warp power that was unleashed by the Chaos Sorcerer Nemroth, as well as Titus' multiple deviations from the Codex Astartes, held sacrosanct by all Ultramarines. Captain Titus was taken away for interrogation by Inquisitor Thrax, whereupon he disappeared for a long time. Cato Sicarius, who had felt that he had been overlooked for commanding following the First Tyrannic War, replaced Titus as the captain of the Second Company, whilst of course he was being interrogated. So the reason for Titus's captivity, the reason he was arrested, the reason Titus was labelled a heretic, was due to a character named Leandros. Bear this in mind for the future. As it turns out, Inquisitor Thrax held an extreme grudge against Astartes, seeing them as a liability to the Imperium and never quite trusting them, especially after the events of the Ipodab War, an uprising instigated by the renegade Astral Claw chapter early in the 10th century of the 41st millennium. Titus was imprisoned by the Inquisition for over a standard century, continuously tortured and physically interrogated by Thrax in an attempt to find the truth of Titus' supernatural resilience to the warp energies, keeping Titus in status between interrogations. The Space Marine captain was physically scourged and subjected to brutal mind trawls, and even though there were no signs of Chaos corruption, the Inquisitor refused to relinquish his captivity. During this time, Ultramarines chapter master Marneus Calgar made numerous petitions to representatives demanding that his captain be returned to the Brotherhood of the Ultramarines. Whether these requests fell on deaf ears, or were lost in the labyrinthine levels of secrecy or self-proclaimed hierarchy that exists within the Inquisition, Calgar never learned. No words reached him or either Inquisition Thrax or his captive Demetrian Titus for many Tyrian years. Much time later, Titus was deployed as a part of the Death Watch's kill team, deploying to the Residius system, which is the start of Space Marine 2. So now we have a little lore recap done and out of the way, not everything because we would be here all day, but enough to gauge the picture. Let's get into the ending of Space Marine 2. There'll be a series of videos on the channel coming up detailing the lore of this game in more detail, the characters and much more, so stick around for that and be sure to subscribe if you're interested in watching those through. The ending of Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 sets up major developments for the future of the series. In the final mission, Titus battles against the Chaos Sorcerer Imura, who aims to harness the power of an ancient Necron artifact to bring chaos to the galaxy. Titus manages to thwart this plan, saving Marneus Calgar, the chapter master of the Ultramarines, from a dimensional trap. After defeating Imura, Titus is honoured for his bravery, and Calgar invites him to join the fleet for an important mission to meet the Ultramarines Primarch, Rabuti Guilliman. This marks a significant moment for Titus, positioning him for greater responsibilities within the Imperium after 1. Being marked a traitor and a heretic, and ultimately deranked to lieutenant at the start of his Primaris Marine journey. Now there is one point around the ending that if you don't know, you won't know, and that is actually involving Chaplain. Chaplain removes his helmet towards the end of the game in a cutscene, and his true identity is revealed as Leandros. If you listen to the recap in this video or already know who he is through the name Leandros, then you probably already know what I'm about to tell you, but if not, go back and listen to the recap. But the reason Chaplain was so hard on Titus throughout the game, the reason he was so strict with him falling out of line, was because he was the one who reported him for being a heretic in the first place. Leandros has never trusted Titus, even all the way back then, as to why he wasn't affected by the power of this artifact back then, and even right now. This is an interesting development, and one the developers can do a lot going forward with. The ending introduces tension with Leandros. Despite all of the victories they've just endured, Leandros is still there, untrusting of Titus. Now as Chaplain, Leandros still distrusts Titus, setting the stage for a possible future conflict. And this explains why, for example, when Gadriel tried to kill Titus for thinking that he was a heretic, he got so angry when having that conversation, which meant that Charion and Gadriel had to really stick up for Titus in that moment, else things could have got really messy. This conclusion, however, leaves many questions unanswered, especially regarding the looming threats of Chaos, the Tyranids, and the Necrons. It also teases potential future storylines for Titus and the Ultramarines, leaving the door open for a sequel. But guys, that is going to be it for today. That's going to be it for the video and the ending explained for Space Marines 2. There was a lot that went on in this game. There's a lot of lore you really need to understand who people are and what went on. But I hope in this video we summarized it in a way that will allow you to understand briefly without having to go through years and years and years of different bits of lore. But I hope you have enjoyed today's video. If you have, be sure to leave a like. It'd be very much appreciated. Leave your comments down below on what you thought of Space Marine 2. Do you understand it? And if so, did you enjoy it? Subscribe if you guys are brand new as well for plenty more content coming. And without further ado, everyone, will speak to you all next time.